transfer to Manchester United today.
Football predictions.
If Barbarian no, Ipswich Town 1.
Football predictions.
Hi, it's Peter Guest,
And the Moose.
and we're here for another episode of the footballpredictions.net podcast covering French Ligue 1 games for the 16th to the 18th of August 2024. What have we got lined up today, Moose?
Yeah, we've got some interesting games to kick off the season with, and we are starting at Havre at home to PSG. Brest takes on Marseille. Rennes takes on Lille. Monaco takes on Saint-Etienne. Nice travels to Auxerre. Montpellier takes on Strasbourg. Angers takes on Lens. Toulouse takes on Nantes, and Rennes takes on Lyon.
Very good. You can also see the details of all these matches that we're about to discuss in this podcast on our website, footballpredictions.net, along with the fixtures from just about every other football competition in the world.
And on our website, you will see where to watch the games on local broadcast channels, plus video streaming services, as well as match odds from local bookmakers.
Can indeed. And if you look in the description of this podcast episode, you can find direct clickable links to all of the matches that we're about to discuss. Geolocation and live streaming rules do apply. 18 plus gamble aware. Upcoming matches, let's go. Havre, who take on PSG, the mighty PSG, without Kylian Mbappe anymore. Kickoff Friday, 16th of August, 7:45 UK time. On footballpredictions.net, you can find your localized kickoff time, odds, TV channels, and streaming services. And you can watch this one on Bet365. Use the bonus code FP365 if you are new to them and you want to watch it subscription free. So let's have a look at the two teams, how they're shaping up, and what we can expect. Over to you, Moose.
Yeah, Havre, they just about avoided relegation last season. They finished 3 points above Metz at the bottom of the league. So, yeah, they're in for another tricky season, most likely here. And they're off to a tricky start as well against PSG, who has strengthened their team with Juan Neves from Benfica. Wow, 60 million euros. Pacho from Frankfurt for 40 million. And Safonov from Krasnodar for 20 million euros. So, yeah, quite a few players come into PSG who, of course, have had to let one of their big stars go. Kylian Mbappe went to Real Madrid, didn't he? And he already scored in his first game. He scored in the Super Cup there against Atlanta. So, yeah, that's a huge loss, obviously, for PSG. And he left on a free transfer as well, so they didn't get a dime. He didn't get a dime. Yeah, so who's going to replace him? Obviously, none of the players who have come in are like-for-like replacements for Mbappe, because Neves is a defensive midfielder, Pacho center back, and obviously Safonov is a goalkeeper. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see PSG and how they will get on in this post-Mbappe era. Yeah. Now for Havre, who is the home team in this first match, Didier Digard has got very few concerns in terms of injuries. They line up they have a very particular formation. Havre, you can't play like a 3-2-4-1 with Desmas in goal, Sanjanje, Kinku, Loris, Diavra, Susawi, Casimir running the midfield and then Toure, Grancia, Jujo, and then Ngora up front. I'm not sure how many of those names are telling for anyone here, but yeah, that's the lineup for the game against PSG. And now for PSG, obviously, there's going to be a few more familiar names in Luis Enrique's team. And likely startup Donnarumma in goal, Saku, Marquinhos, Pacho, and Mendes at the back, and then new signing Neves, together with Ventina and Ruiz in midfield, and then a front three of Dembele, Ramos, and Bacola. So that's how we predict PSG to line up. And yeah, PSG obviously again looking to defend the title.
Yeah, again.
Again.
And I don't think we should spend too long on this game because, as you know, there's going to be probably a bit of a mismatch, although we are picking it to be probably not much of a goal difference in terms of how it ends up. So tell us what we've got in terms of our predicted score for this one.
Yeah, we've gone for a 2-1 PSG win. So we're going to go PSG win. We are giving Afra a goal. So it is also both teams to score prediction at the same time and over 2.5 goals. But yeah, we're going with a PSG win.
Yeah, of course. And let's have a quick look at the odds. If you want to go for a PSG win, 1.45 is what you'll get in decimal odds. So obviously odds on favourites. We've actually gone for both teams to score prediction in this game because of the scoreline of 2-1, and you get better odds on that. You'll get 1.8 over at Bet365. So that's something to consider. If you did want to go for a correct score of 2-1, you get odds of 8.5. And just looking at our poll on our website, you can go on the website page for this. You can find the clickable link in the description. And 61% of people voted for PSG just to win, 11% for a home Avra win. Obviously less likely, but you never know. And if you did want to bet on Avra to win, you get odds of 7.5. Not as ridiculous odds as you might think. So a draw is 4.75. But we think PSG will get off to a winning start, as they usually do. And even though without an Mbappe, they've got plenty of good quality throughout the team. All right, moving on to Brest, who take on Marseille. This one is on Saturday, 17th of August, 4 o'clock in the UK. You can watch it live on Bet365, stream it, use our bonus code FP365. If you're new to them, you can watch it for free effectively. You just have to have had a bet in the last 24 hours with them, or have 1 unit of currency in a deposit, which you can take out later if you want to. So go to footballpredictions.net for the local kickoff time, betting odds and broadcast streaming options that are available in your area. So Brest coming into the season, obviously stayed in the league as well as Marseille in Ligue 1. What does it look like for them?
Yeah, really interesting team, Brest, because as we all know, last season they actually finished third in Ligue 1, which meant qualification for the Champions League. So
Indeed.
Brest is the Champions League team here, although Marseille may sound like the bigger club. But yeah, the fact is for this upcoming season, we're going to see Brest in the Champions League. Now, how are they going to cope with that? That'll be interesting because in the transfer market, it's been very quiet from Brest's perspective. They only picked up one player and a couple of loans. And that player came in from Lens Cardinal for 1.7 million. So these guys have only spent 1.7 million euros and they're going to play in the Champions League. So good luck with that. Marseille, on the other hand, interestingly, a few familiar names here because new manager Roberto Di Serbi. Most people will know him from his time at Brighton. I believe also there has been a change of ownership at Marseille, and they're pumping quite a few resources into this team, and you can see that from their transfer window. They've been buying quite a few players. A bit controversially, they brought on Mason Greenwood from Man United. They picked up Eli Wahi at Lens for 25 million. Ismail Kone, one of the big profiles for Watford last season in the Championship, for 12. Mete from Lorient. Rulli from Ajax. And Derek Cornelius from Malmö. So yeah, they actually been spending upwards close to 100 million euros on new players. It has to be said, they did actually also sell a few.
What about the one you missed, the big one, Højbjerg from Spurs?
Oh yes, loan transfer. Yes, that is correct. They brought in Pierre-Emile Højbjerg from Spurs on loan together with Lilian Brassier from Stade Brest.
I think it'll make a big difference for them. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting to see how this Marseille team is going to get on and if they have gelled enough to at the beginning of the season, because that's usually takes a bit of time, doesn't it, for these players to gel, especially with also considering that some of their profiles actually went to the Premier League. Ismail Sarr went to Crystal Palace. He didn't play at Marseille last season. He was on loan at Watford. But Ndiaye was a big profile. He went to Everton. And Vitinha went to Genoa. So a few players have gone out. Guendouzi to Lazio as well. So yeah, it's a bit of but overall, they've strengthened their team. They have De Serbi now as their manager. It will be interesting to see how they get on. Anyway, lineups. Brest, look, probably an unfamiliar team to most, but we will be getting to know this team a lot better this season as they will be playing in the Champions League, probably punching a bit above their weight against some of the big teams in Europe. They're going to start with Bissot in goal, Lala, Chardonnay, Dari, Loco at the back, Limelu, Camara, Mbok in midfield, and then in the front three of Del Castillo, Adjoke, and Lee Duran at the top. And Marseille, a few injury problems, but probably nothing bigger than what can be expected at the beginning of the season. Blanco, Nadia, and Rongia out. But yeah, they start in goal with Rulli. Back four of Murillo, Baladi, Cornelius, and Merlin. Holding midfield of Onihi and Højbjerg. And then we're going to see supporting three, Greenwood, Harriet, and Enrique behind Mubanya at the top. So yeah, interesting lineup for Marseille in this game.
And what do we think in terms of your crystal ball for the prediction?
Well, so we actually believe that this is going to be a tricky start to the season for Marseille. Like we said, Brest finished third last season, were doing really, really well. It was a really, really hard team to beat for most of the season, and were showing a lot of resilience. They were involved in quite a few high-scoring games, but overall they had a really good defense. They were really well organized and kept a lot of clean sheets. Kept a lot of clean sheets last season. So yeah, we're actually going to go with a 0-0 draw in this opening game.
Okay, a draw, yeah. And just look at the odds, shall we? For a draw, I like the odd draw because you get good odds. You get 3.3 for a draw if you saw this one panning out like that. We've gone for our tip, though, is more under 2.5 goals. We do think it'll be a tight one, maybe a 0-0 or 1-1 or 1-0 either way. 1.91 you can get odds on that for this game. And with the correct score prediction, if you did go for a 0-0, it's 11 or 10-1. So it could go either way. It's very tightly contested. On our poll, both teams are dead level on 39% of the votes, and the rest for a draw. So kind of does tell you that people are thinking that we could have a close game on our hands here. So let us see what happens with that, and we'll move on now to Rennes versus Lille, and this one kicks off on Saturday, 17th of August, 6 p.m. for us in the UK. Go to footballpredictions.net for your local kickoff times and betting odds and broadcast streaming services available. But for most of us, it'll be on Bet365. You can watch it there, subscription free. Use our bonus code FP365 if you are new to them. Let's have a look at the two teams then. What are we thinking?
Yeah, Rennes at home in the first game of the season, and they're playing Lille, who is in the qualifiers for the Champions League. They actually had a 1-0 draw with Fenerbahce in the first tie. So they're in the qualifiers for the Champions League. But Rennes, this is their first game of the season. Last season they finished sort of mid-table, not like a high-scoring team, one of the lower-scoring teams in the league actually. Rennes, and in the transfer window, it's been fairly quiet. They brought in Cedric Kipre from West Brom on a free transfer, and that's it. So Cedric has gone. Amir Richardson has gone to Fiorentina for 9 million euros. So a quiet window, but one of their sort of more talented players have gone out. In terms of Lille, so this is a team again that's going for Champions League football. They picked up a few players, but I think the big one, as most people will know, is that Lenny Yoro went to Man United for 62 million euros. So one of the
is that good value, do you think?
Well, he's only 18, so I wouldn't say he's not entirely proven yet. But
it's ridiculous, the money that's getting spread around, isn't it?
Yeah, I think for a young player like that, who's now going to go into the Premier League, is obviously extremely talented. It's going to be interesting to see how he'll be getting on. But yeah, also with Lille, I think if we jump to proposed lineups here, obviously Rem, a very similar lineup to last season. Not a lot's been going on in the transfer window. Diouf in goal, back four of Kudo, Ukumo, Akbadu, Akime at the back. Then we have in a holding midfield of Munetsi and Indoa. And then a three behind Diakite will be Ito, Katra, and Nakamura. So yeah, that's what we're looking at on the Rem side. Now for Lille, in goal, Chevrolet, back four again of Diakite, Meunier, Ribeiro, and Gudmundsson. And then we have the Santos and Gomez as the holding midfielders behind Haraldsson, Cabella, Sarari, and Jonathan Davids. So that's what we're looking at in terms of the lineups. Now, considering last season, Lille finishing fourth, Rem sort of finishing mid-table. What do we think up? How do we think these two teams are going to get on in the opener?
Well, I think Rennes will need to push hard, I think, to break down Lille. But we think Lille probably will be able to kind of get one at the other end. So, yeah, we have gone for a Lille win just by the one goal. And we're thinking it's going to be 1-0 to them. So, an away win on this one. Let's see how it plays out. But have a quick look at the odds, shall we, as well. The Lille to win, you can get the odds of 2.15. This is all in decimal. We like the under 2.5 goals market for this as well. 1.91 is what you're going to get back for that. But it seems to be a smart one.
Yeah.
In terms of a 0-1 scoreline, you can get 8 for that, 7-1. So that's quite tasty. And if you kind of wanted to go for an 3.4 is what that's okay, which is the same odds as you get for a draw, 3.4. So these looking like Lille, more favoured. Yeah,
these two teams always have been involved in some very tight games. Either like last time out, Lille actually beat Rennes there 1-0. So we're going for a repeat.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That was back in March, wasn't it? It was 1-0 to Lille at the same stadium. So let's hope that can happen again. As far as we're concerned, not for mine, of course, but in our poll, 65% of people are saying Lille as well. So let's see. Next up, Monaco, who take on Saint Etienne. This one kicks off Saturday, 17th of August at 8 p.m. Of course, go to footballpredictions.net and you'll be able to see on our webpage the local kickoff time and betting odds and broadcast streaming options available in your local area. And you can just click on the links in the description to get there. But for most people, there's Bet365 who are showing this, obviously outside of France. And you can watch it for subscription free. And it will be, use our bonus code, I should say, FP365, as FP for Football Predictions 365, which will be something to make use of. Now, Monaco, obviously, traditionally quite a strong team. Up for another big season coming up. How do you think they'll figure against Saint Etienne?
Yeah, look, last season Monaco finished second. They actually, they only finished 9 points behind PSG at the top. They finished off the last season really, really strong, like 7 wins from 8. They only lost at Lyon. We know Lyon is also a strong team. So it was a really strong finish to the season for Monaco, who will be back and playing the Champions League this year. And they've done some really reasonable business as well in this transfer window, picked up quite a few profiles from the other League One teams, and then they picked up the very talented player at Royal Antwerp, and Ilek Hinha. Wow, what a name. A French Nigerian.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, only 17 years old, but nearly 20 million euros. So big talent. And the same for Toulouse. Mavisa, 19 years old, 16 million euros. Lamine Camara at Metz, 15 million. And then Thilo Kehrer, centre back from West Ham for 11 million. So, they only lost one player.
They spent quite a bit there.
Yeah, they spent nearly 60 million. They did sell Mo Camara to Al Sadd, the defensive midfielder, for 16.5. So some good business for Monaco. And wow, Saint Etienne, promoted team, went up through the playoffs. this could be a really tricky test for them, especially because if we look at they bought a few players in, of course, they've strengthened themselves, but really probably mostly unknown players. Buraki from Wolfsberger in Austria, Milandinovic from Kukurakiki, wow, in Slovakia, and then Daviachvili from Bodo. But they've managed to keep most of the squad from last season, which is always good for like a promoted team. So they definitely know each other. But look, the away to Monaco has to be said. A couple of early in the week, they beat Barcelona 3-0 in a friendly. And that was not a bad Barcelona team they were up against. That was a Barcelona team that was, Lewandowski, Rafinha. You had Andreas Christensen in there, Balde, and so on. So that was a really positive result for them in pre-season.
They're very good in attack, aren't they, Monaco?
Yeah, definitely. So it looks like they're definitely going to continue on where they left from last season. They're going to start with Majeki in goal, Vanderson, Kira, the new guy from West Ham, Salisu, and Enrique at the back. They also play a 4-2-3-1, so the holding midfielders of Sakiria and Fofana. Then we have Minamino, Alikuche, and Golovin and Mbolo sort of leading the attacking midfield and front. So, yeah, that's a really strong lineup for Monaco. Now, for Saint-Etienne, probably these names will not mean a lot to many of you, but Lasseneux in goal. Then we're going to have Apia, Batu Binsika, Abdelhamid and Petro at the back. Then Fomba and Daviachvili sitting in midfield together with Ben Old, Tadu, and Kafuro just in front of him, and Ibrahim Sissoko sort of leading the front line. But yeah, this is, no matter what, it's going to be a really tricky game for Saint-Etienne, and I think everyone can probably understand why we would be picking a home win here. We're going to go with a 2-1 home win. And what do the odds say to that, Gesty?
Well, 2-1 home win for the actual correct score, you can get 8.5. We just looking at the voting, by the way, poll, 72% of our people who vote on the poll on our webpage for this game vote Monaco, 16% Saint Etienne. We tend to agree with that, so we go for the Monaco win. You get 1.48, so obviously odds on the win in Monaco. But because we're saying 2-1, we have gone for both teams to score prediction, which is 1.7 for odds on that. Now, you're probably thinking, well, how much for a Saint Etienne win? 6.25. So yeah, quite far out there. So yeah, you would think that the big one would be Monaco to win. Not very great odds, but let's see how that goes. By the way, I think Vanderson, I've heard some rumours that Tottenham might be interested in Vanderson, so we'll see what happens with that. But you can always usually tell if that's true if they actually you see them in the starting lineup before the window shuts. So anyway, let's crack on, shall we, to Auxerre versus Nice. This one kicks off on Sunday, the 18th of August, 2 p.m. in the UK. We can watch that. And you can watch it on Bet365. It's being live streamed there. Use the bonus code FP365 if you are new to them. And on footballpredictions.net, on the page for this game, you can find all the localized kickoff time odds, TV channels, and streaming services as well. So, Auxerre obviously coming out of League 2. They were promoted into League 1. Should be an interesting test for them. And Nice have sort of finished okay, didn't they, at the end of the last season?
Yeah, they finished 5th in the league, and so just dropped out of the Champions League spots there. But yeah, Nice finished 5th. They'll be in the Europa League. Obviously, this is another team that's owned by Ineos, the Man United partner, so to say. And maybe that's why there seems to not have been much investment into Nice this summer. Maybe they're putting their money on United now. Who knows? But yeah, Auxerre, promoted team. They've done a few signings. Koulibaly from Nordsjælland in Denmark and Theo Baer from Motherwell. and Osho from Luton. So yeah, not like the biggest names that are being brought into this Auxerre lineup. But again, it's another one where they've kept their squad from last season. No players have left the club, so they're gonna go into this league. They know each other, and that's just as important as to let's say mess up with the squad by bringing in too many players. And yeah, Nice last season finished 5th. Not really done a lot in the transfer market. They brought in Jonathan Klaus from Marseille and Sanson from Aston Villa. Probably most people will not be too familiar with Morgan Sanson. Don't think he got many minutes there. Ndombele from Spurs. They got on a free transfer. Probably the biggest.
Ndombele as it was called, yeah.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the belly, yeah.
Probably
put
the
on
biggest,
a bit of weight.
the biggest transfer was of course Kefren Turam, who went to Juventus. So one of their big profiles left running the midfield last season. So yeah, Nice probably looking in similar shape to last season, and they're traveling to Auxerre here. It's going to be a tricky test for them actually. Auxerre will line up in a 4-2-3-1. Donovan Leon in goal, Jolly, Jubal, Osho, and Mensah at the back. Bavaloson, Owusu, Sinayoko, together with Hein and Ratan Perin making up the midfield 5, and then Unaivu at the top. Yeah, and Nice, the quite offensive team, Nice, even though they didn't score many goals last season. 34 matches and 40 goals. So yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they get on. But yeah, they'd usually line up in a 3-4-3, Bulkan goal, and then Mindy, Rosari, and Dante. That's the back 3 with Klaus, Sanson, Budui, Luchet in the midfield, and then Alicho, Gushan, and Boga making up the front 3. So yeah, that's how we predict the teams to line up. And for our prediction, it's going to be a tight contest, but we do think that obviously Auxerre coming up, Nice still finished 5th last season. They are one of the better teams. They have lost one big profile, but still we think they're going to be just that much stronger for Auxerre in this game. Hence why we are going for a narrow away win.
Yeah, we think it's going to be a close one in terms of the scoreline, but yeah, probably the quality for Nice should show through against the promoted team, even though it's obviously Auxerre at home. So, you never know what you're going to get in the first day of the season. So let's see what they can come up with to try and impress. But yeah, we don't think they'll be able to get over the line. So we think it's going to be a narrow 1-0 away win to Nice, which will be nice for them. Now, look at the odds. Nice to win 2.35. We are thinking we like the look of under 2.5 goals, don't we, for this one? So the odds of that are not particularly great, but it's 1.67 for that. And if you want a correct score of 1-0 to the away team Nice, then you can pick that up for 7 or 6-1. If you are interested in an Auxerre win, it's 3.1. So there's not a lot of difference in that. And for a draw, it's 3.25. Yeah, so reflected in the odds there that it's expected to be close, but yeah, they should be able to win, we think, Nice. Moving on now to Montpellier, who take on Strasbourg. This one's on the 18th, Sunday, 18th of August, 4 p.m. For this game, footballpredictions.net gives you your local kickoff time, betting odds, and available viewing options from where you are. And we do know it's on in the rest of the world outside of France, where it's available on Bet365. Watch it there live streamed. Use the bonus code FP365 if you are new to them. Montpellier. Obviously, you take us through how they've been doing over the summer and what we expect.
Yeah, what can we expect from Montpellier? Hopefully more than last season. They finished 12th, just sort of below mid-table. And it was not an easy season for them. And really, it's been an extremely quiet transfer window as well. In fact, not bought any players. So apparently either they haven't got much cash there, or they think that their squad is good enough to compete in Ligue 1.
Wow.
They brought up a player from Yeah, they brought up a player from the B team. Now, they have lost a player. Esteve went to Burnley for 12 million euros, and then Leo Leroy went to Basel, but squad player. So, yeah, no big changes at Montpellier compared to last season. Now, Strasbourg, they finished just below Montpellier last season. So we had Strasbourg finished on 39 points, and we had Montpellier finishing on 41 points, sort of lower mid-table teams. And they're probably teams that are they going to kick on from last season? I think Montpellier probably not, considering that limited transfer activity and limited budget. And Strasbourg, they have picked up a few players. Lemarechal from Monaco for 6 million, Doué from Rennes for 6 million, Pereira, they picked him up in Ecuador, an 18-year-old for 5 million euros, so they must have seen some talent there. And then they picked up Papa Dion from Dar es Salaam in Senegal. So and Caleb Wiley has come in on loan. So it'll be interesting to see how they're getting on. Sissoko has gone to Bochum, but mainly free transfers have left. So really, probably the most change has been for Strasbourg in this case, and not so much for Montpellier. And going into this game, what are we looking at? We're looking at a Montpellier that will line up with Lecomte in goal, Chato, Sagnan, Omar Rajic, and Süle at the back. Ferry, Chotard, and Savigny at midfield, and then Koulibaly, Adams, and Tamari up front. And for Strasbourg, just a little injury concern for Milos Lukovic. Actually, it's a new manager at Strasbourg, Liam Rosinia, who was at Hull City last season. So he was actually rated quite highly. Hull almost finished in the playoffs with sort of, I'm not saying limited resources, but he did really well, picking up some good players as well. So it'll be interesting to see how Liam Rosinia will do in this game, and he's going to go with a system quite familiar to himself. It's a 4-3-3, Robin Risse in goal, Doué, Sauve, Silla, and Delane at the back, Mwanga, Doucouré, and Diarra in midfield, Bakwa, Imeja, and Pereira in leading the front line. So that's how Strasbourg will line up. But we don't think necessarily that Liam Rosinia is going to get off to a good start here against Montpellier. We actually think Montpellier will edge this one.
Yeah, we think they'll probably win and maybe even keep a clean sheet, and that's what we've done in our prediction for we're reflecting that 1-0 we think for Montpellier. Come full time. Shall we look at the odds? You've got for Montpellier to win, you've got 2 odds of 2 decimal, and we think it will be tight. Another one we think it will be tight, and so we've gone for an under 2.5 goals here, in which you can get odds of 1.91. So you can almost take your pick between those two. But we do like the under market for this one. Regarding a correct score of 1-0, that will give you 7.5. And if you wanted to look at a win going the other way, you can actually get 3.8 on a Strasbourg win. So they're quite heavily fancied actually, Montpellier. So a draw is 3.3 by the way. But on our website, 57% of people like Montpellier and a lot like a draw. So anyway, like we said, we think under is good for this one, and 1-0 is our correct score prediction. Next, we have Angers versus Lens, and this one is on Sunday, the 18th of August at 4 p.m. in the UK. Find your local kickoff time for this game with all the odds and the available broadcast streaming channels for this match on footballpredictions.net. Look in the description, you'll see the clickable link to this game. It will be broadcast on a live stream on Bet365, so you can watch that there. Use our bonus code FP365 if you're new to them. What do we think about another promoted team in Angers coming up and taking on Lens?
Yeah, Lens obviously last season they finished 7th, so a fairly decent season for them in terms of sort of overall performance. And Angers, a new team into League One. They played in League 2 last season, so it'll be interesting to see how they will be getting on. Again, this is French football. So it's not, you don't get $1 billion for promotion here. So in terms of the transfer market, Ange has been looking at free transfers only, and they've been picking up players from some of the other teams. Now they might have done some savvy business because, as people may be aware of, Bordeaux got forced out of the league and or League Two, I think, and they picked up a few young players there, Biuma and Ikomi, on free transfers. They simply just had to let their squad go. But yeah, apart from that, look, it's not really anything you'd look at to think that they have really strengthened their squad at all. Now, Lens, they will be playing. I don't know if they will be playing in Europe, but they have been bringing in a few players this season. Chavez from Bahia in Brazil, Kofi from Charleroi in Belgium, Odrian from Debrecen in Hungary, and a guy from Bate Borisov in Belarus. So that's quite exotic. However, they've also had to say goodbye to one of their big profiles. Eli Wahi has gone to Marseille for 25 million euros. Now, he was quite a big profile for Montpellier. He grabbed last season. He had his overall record is 41 goals in 112 games. So that is not bad. He scored 32 goals in 92 appearances for Montpellier. So that was, prior to when he was at Lens, he got 12 goals in 36. So yeah, proven goal scorer there that has left Lens, and it will be interesting to see how they will get on without him, because they've not brought in any strikers into their team. So yeah, interesting business. But yeah, let's look at the teams. Again, I don't think most people will be familiar with the lineup for Ange, and actually it has to be said they are struggling a little bit with the injuries. Have 5 injuries going into this game. How much it's affecting their first team lineup, don't think we have enough expertise to just predict that. But yeah, quite a few injuries going into this game. Fofana in goal, Anku, Hantunji, Lefort, and Hanin at the back. Ahulu, Capel, Sheriff, Abdelli, and Milali in like a midfield 5, and Dioni up front. And for Lens, who has this young British guy, Will, still in charge. He was at Reims last season and did quite well there, but he's lining up in a 3-4-3, Samba in goal, Gradit, Danso, Medina at the back, Frankowski, Diouf, Samed, Xavi in midfield, Sotuka, Said, and Costa up front. But yeah, Ange, I think safe to say they are not like the classic League One team. They're new to this league. They've only brought in free transfers on really low budgets. So we do think that Lens is going to be too much for them, even in this first game. And with that momentum, they would be coming up with.
Yeah. So we envisaged probably that Angers will manage to maybe get one past Lens, but we don't think that will be enough to prevent a defeat in this one. So we've actually gone for both teams to score in a 1-2 win for Lens at the end of the match. We'll have to see how this one goes, obviously, but odds-wise, we're looking at a Lens win. You get 1.65 for that. In terms of the both teams to score, 1.91. It'll be nice to see Angers if they are able to get the goal that we think they will get. Being at home, you would kind of expect them to be able to get something. Yeah, we think Lens will just be a bit too strong in the end. If you want the odds for Angers to win, it's 5.5, so not very heavily fancied. A draw is on at 3.75 odds. 55% of people who voted in that poll on our page for this think Lens will win. 36% Angers. So, a few people like the look of them. But yeah, having just come up into the new league, it's going to be difficult for them to think the score will be 1-2. Next, let's take a look at Toulouse, who play Nantes. This one is on Sunday, the 18th of August, 4 p.m. Find your local kickoff time, game odds, and available broadcast streaming channels for this match on footballpredictions.net on the page for this. Look at the clickable links and you'll see it all in the description. You can watch it on Bet365. Just use the bonus code FP365 if you're new to them, and you'll be able to watch that game subscription free. Right, Let's have a look at these two sides. Obviously, still in League One from last season. How do we think they're going to go in this opener?
Yeah, they didn't look when we look at Nantes, they didn't finish the last half of the season. They were performing really poorly. They picked up 4 wins right at the beginning of last season. First 9 games, they won 4 matches, but then for the remainder of the season, they only won 5. So that's quite telling for how they finished off. And they actually got really close to that relegation zone, just 4 points off the drop in the end for Nantes. Now, Toulouse finished 10 points above Nantes last season. And sort of a safe mid-table. And actually, when we compare to Nantes, Toulouse actually had quite the opposite up until December, the December break or the winter break in France. Toulouse had only won 2 games, which was pretty poor. However, they came back really strong, and in the second half of the season, they won 9 games. That was actually well over half the games they were playing in the second half of that season. So yeah, they really picked up in the second half. They actually finished off with the last away game was a 3-1 win at PSG. So yeah, Toulouse, if they can continue that trend into this season, they'll be safe, a safe mid-table team. Sort of in terms of transfer business, well, it'll be not really a lot has happened. In fact, they probably waved goodbye to more players that they would have liked. They brought in Charlie Cresswell from Leeds and Sidebe on a free transfer from Athens. That's the only business. However, Mawissa has gone to Monaco, so that's a loss. Talented centre back. Obviously, they brought Cresswell in to replace him. But then Dalinga went to Bologna for 15 million. That's also a loss for them. And that's a position they haven't really replaced. So, yeah, it's a slightly, not slightly weakened, but it's a similar team, but a little bit weaker than last season, probably Toulouse that we're looking at. Now, Nantes, similar story. They have made quite a big signing in Abilene from Rennes. They bought him for 10 million. And Cadaver from Lyon came in on a free transfer. But yeah, apart from that, just a few players have left for smaller amounts, squad players.
Yeah.
So yeah, similar Nantes team to last season. And what does that sort of mean for the lineups? What we're looking at for Toulouse, they like to line up in a 3-4-2-1, Reste in goal. Then they have Cresswell to start at the back together with Nicolaisen and Suazo. And then they have a midfield 4 of Kamanzi, Sierro, Caceres, and Zakaria Apural. And then up front, Dunham, Bohu, and Macri. Now, for Nantes, in goal, Lafont, and then a back 4 with Coco Sese, Castelletto, Sentonze, a midfield 4 of Sopa Thomas, Augusto, Chiriella, Ablin, and then up front, Moses Simon and new signing Tino Cadaver. So yeah, how is that going to reflect our prediction? We are thinking that Toulouse is most likely going to edge Nantes in this first game of the season. Again, what we said is if Toulouse can continue where they left from the second half of last season, then it's looking pretty good for them. And obviously Nantes was sort of failing on their momentum, sort of falling in form really in the second half. So yeah, I think that's reflecting what we're saying here. We're predicting a 2-1 home win.
So we're saying Toulouse to win,
Yeah.
which is good for them. And let's check in on the odds for that. So Toulouse to win is 2.05 as a prediction, just full-time result. We like the look of both teams to score though with this one as well, don't we? So you might want to consider that. That's 1.95. That's our other sort of one that we like the look of. So, but if you did go for a correct score of 2-1 to the home team, you will find that at odds of 9 or 8-1. On a poll on our site, 63% of you like Toulouse to win and 13% not. So the rest is obviously a draw. If you did want to go for an away win, Nantes are available at 3.8, so a lot bigger, but that's probably reflected in the fact that they're probably likely to lose.
Yeah.
And Toulouse will get off to a good start for the campaign. Now, we've got Rennes versus Lyon. And this one kicks off on Sunday, the 18th of August at 7:45 in the UK, that is. You can watch this on Bet365 if you're outside of France, and it's available on live stream there. Use our bonus code FP365 if you're new to them, and for the game for all other locations that don't have that Bet365, have a look on footballpredictions.net on this webpage. See the clickable link, and it'll show you your local kickoff time, betting odds, and available viewing options. So again, a couple of League One stages from last season, going at it again. Rennes and Lyon, what do we think about them, what they've done in the off-season, and how they're going to line up?
Yeah, this is an interesting one again. Like Rennes, the really sort of last season, I think the Europa League probably punched the air out of them a little bit, and they actually ended up finishing mid-table and not qualifying for Europe this year. So might be a little bit disappointed with that. They also ended the season not so well. They had 5 defeats from the last 8 matches. So a little bit of a disappointing end to the season for Rennes. Now, Lyon finished 6th. They'll be in the qualifiers for the Conference League. So it's probably not really that appealing for Lyon, but nevertheless, that's where they ended up with that 6th spot. So yeah, but if we do look at Lyon, to be fair, like really, wow, last season was really a crazy season for them, because the first 10 matches they didn't record a single win. So no win in the first 10 matches, and the first 14 matches only resulted in 1 win. However, then something happened, and for the remainder of the season, literally picked up the remainder of the wins. So 16 wins. Sorry, that would have been 15 wins from the remaining 20 games. So or 21 games. Yeah. So wow.
And some draws in there as well. Probably,
exactly. I mean, that would have been.
I remember we predicted that. Yeah.
That kind of form would obviously have got them the championship. So they would have won League One with that form if they had applied that to the first half of the season. If they can go into the second half if they can go into this to this season with that kind of form, that would be really, really interesting to see. However, Lyon has actually had quite a disruptive transfer window, where they have strengthened their team. They brought in quite a few players, Niakate from Nottingham Forest and Mangala from Forest. So yeah, 2 Forest players, Nuama from Belgium, Mirkutadze from Metz, and Benrahma from West Ham, Abner from Betis. They've actually spent 135 million euros in this transfer window. So even across Europe, Lyon is one of the biggest spenders in this transfer window. They've said goodbye to Jake O'Brien. He's gone back to Everton for 20 million, and Alvaro went to Werder Bremen. But yeah, overall big spenders, Lyon. Rennes, slightly different story. The not as big a club, but yeah, they've had to wave goodbye to quite a few profiles. Lefebvre has gone to Roma. Teria and Belosian has gone to Leverkusen for a combined 35 million. Ablin gone to Nantes. So yeah, it looks like they've had to say goodbye to quite a few profiles. But they've also picked up Kamara in Leeds, Grandbeck, one of the big profiles in the Norwegian league for Bodø Glimt. They picked him up for 15 million euros, and then Østigard from Napoli, Meister from Salzburg in Norway. But yeah, so steady business for Rennes. Wow. And how are they going to line up? Going to have Rennes, a few players, well, just one player out, Alemdar. But yeah, lining up in a 4-4-2, Mandanda in goal, Sidhu, Wu, Østigard, Truffert at the back, Borigo, Grønbæk, Santa Maria, Blas in midfield, Kalimuendo and Guri up front. Now, Lyon, that'll be interesting. So we're looking at Perry in goal, Maitland-Niles, who people will know from his time at Arsenal, Niakate, Kalitaka, Talifiku at the back, Tolisso, Hakire, and Nemanja Matic makes up the midfield. And then up front, we have Nuama, Mikotratse, and Benrahma. So, yeah, that's how Lyon will most likely line up for this game. And, what do we think? But I think we were building this up for Lyon. But what are we predicting?
Well, we think Rennes will win. And we think, having said that, we think it'll be close. We think it'll be both teams to score. Shall I take you through the odds? We think it's going to be 2-1 as a final score to Rennes. And you get odds of 9.5 for a 2-1 Rennes win, which is, I think, pretty good. The poll on our site, 60% of people think it's going to be a Rennes win and 20% Lyon. So, it's kind of reflected in what the consensus is looking at as well. What we think, 2.3 odds for the Rennes win, 3 for a Lyon win. So, it could be close. If you want to draw, which is also a distinct possibility, 3.5 odds. So, if it swings that way, then that could be a good one to look at. But both teams to score, you get 1.67 odds. So, it's it could be a close one. Maybe you want to avoid a bet on. Not really sure, but that's what we're going for.
Yeah.
And just a reminder, if you do plan to watch these matches on Bet365, they're all live on there, live stream. Geolocation and live streaming rules apply. 18 plus, gambleware.org, and use the bonus code FP365 if you're a new customer.
Yeah. And in the description section of this podcast, you'll find links to the fixtures we've just been discussing. Just go directly to footballpredictions.net. Once there, you can have a look on the online places to see the games from your location via streaming and TV channels, our tips for different betting markets, plus the best offers and odds.
Yeah, you might already know that we produce these football podcasts for additional competitions as well as French Ligue 1, and you can listen to them at podcast.footballpredictions.net. or where you normally source your good podcasts from. Well, thanks all for listening. And until the next time, it's...
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Football predictions.